Hey, what's up? Good morning, everyone. Junior here. Welcome to the video. And it's raining, so we're kind of staying inside today, but it's going to give me a good opportunity to do a few things. One, we're going to go ahead and reflect upon the last 60 days and my experience being brand new to this whole lawn care thing. And then it's also going to give me an opportunity to maintenance my equipment, because it's probably a good time to change my blade, restring my weed eater, and just kind of take stock of the things that I need to, take the inventory and stuff like that. So let's talk about the first item that I think everyone needs, and I know it's obvious, and I know what people are going to say is, duh, Junior, of course we need that. But I'm just going through the basics here. Don't shoot the messenger. So the first one is the lawnmower. Yeah, I know, it's so obvious. But it's something we should touch base on, because not all mowers are made the same, and there's many different ones you can use, and it really just fits on your preference and what makes your life more efficient. You have different blade lengths, you have different mowers that goes different ride heights, you have push behinds, you have manual reel mowers, you have self-propelled rotary mowers, you have single blade, multi-blade. You have so many, and really it's just whatever works for you. This one right here is a 40 volt ryobi single blade rotary push behind mower. It has a bag, it has a cap for mulching. It goes down to 1.5 inch. Been having it for 4.5 years. It's actually been really good to me. And it's time to actually change the blade. But a lawnmower is something that's essential, and you choose which one that's best for you. So let's change the blade on this. Then we can actually take a look to see what condition the old blade is in after 4 years of use and what the new blade looks like. So let's dive right into that and we move on. Alright, so as you can tell, this is a single blade. We're going to need a ratchet or wrench, something to loosen up this nut, and a small little block to block the blade from spinning. So let's get this taken out, and we're going to go ahead and compare the new to the old blade and see what the years have done to this one, shall we? Alright, we're going to go ahead and block this. Make sure that we get it going, and be very, very careful, so that way you don't want to, slip and cut your hand or hit your hand or anything. But for the most part, if you do it right and make sure that it's wet, the wood's wedged in there, you should be fine. Here we go. All right, so here's the old blade. Look at the damage on that. The other side, really, really messed up. Right there. Look at that. And here's the new blade. Right there. Big difference. Big difference. Now that we got the old blade off, let's go ahead and install the new blade. Now, what I like about this mower, and I don't know if the other ones do it, but there's different shapes. You got a circle and you got a half circle right here. So it's almost impossible to get wrong. So let's do that. We're gonna go ahead and insert it. Make sure it fits the shapes. Triangle goes in triangle. All right, we have a fitting and we have the washer here. So let's go ahead and put the fitting in. Boom, boom. Super easy. And then what we're going to do with the block, we're now going to put it on the other side once we get this hand tight. Once we get this hand tight. Now once we get this hand tight, we're just going to go ahead and put the block on the other side of the blade, because we're going to want to tighten it. You're going to want to wedge that. Now you're supposed to use a torque wrench. 30, 40 foot-pounds for this one. Others will vary. So, but I'll just make sure it's tight. The torque wrench that I have, is too big. So, gotta do it by hand. But it is what it is. So, we just got this one done. And wham bam, there you go. Now, since this is an electric mower, I don't have to check the oil. There's really not much I can do other than change the blade, clean out the undercarriage, and just wipe it down. I think that's the good thing also about having an electric mower, but it's also a bad thing because if anything goes out in here, unless I know how to fix it, it's done. Unlike a gas powered mower with an engine, you can rebuild those things. So some plus and minuses, and we go with the flow. So yeah, let's dive into the next one that I feel is probably another given, but we're gonna have to talk about it. And that's the weed eater. So there's many different ones like the mower. You can get all different types of options. And this one that I have here is the Ryobi Extend 40 volt weed eater. What I like about this is that it really just satisfies what I need to do with my yard. It's not overkill, and it's also not underwhelming when it comes, or underpowered. Also, the amount of attachments that this has is actually pretty good. It's pretty light, it's nice, I like it. Also, since it does come with attachments, I'm able to hook up something like an edger. Now, you don't need an edger. The string trimmer is actually a very good option if you can edge straight lines that I can't do. I can definitely not edge straight lines. And that was enormously annoying. So I got the edger, and this is actually pretty strong. I messed up on a video. I was doing a review and unboxing of it, and just the video didn't come out good. And I know a lot of people are like, just post it, just post it. But I try to put out as good quality as I can with the right information, and I felt I was scattered. It was the Father's Day weekend, and to be honest, I was just really rushing through it, and I didn't really like the quality. But once the rain stops, we're gonna go ahead and test this out again, because it did a really good job, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys here that how good of a job it did. And for residential use, this is good, my opinion. For those who are just trying to get into it and trying to maintain your yard, a lot of these are budgetary in comparison to how expensive these tools can get. But I do have another weed eater that is actually way cheaper than this kit right here. Like, the weed eater itself came with the blower, and it was like $250. There's cheaper options out there when it comes to mowers and weed eaters, and here's a cheaper option. This is a DeWalt extension cord trimmer. It's an electric trimmer. It's nothing robust, super easy. This was like less than 60 bucks. So if you're looking for a trimmer and you're not really looking for anything crazy, then something like this will work. There's a few things that made this not work for me, and really it's just how short it is. And I eventually got away with it. I used it for 4 years, and it did the job. So if you're looking for something just to do the job and you're not really trying to get fancy with it, there's a lot of options out there. So consider that. So let's dive right in and let's restring the Ryobi and get that taken care of, because again, this is the first day of summer, and the next couple weeks is going to be a lot of good opportunities to put in work. So let's do it. All right, so with this trimmer right here, it's pretty easy. There's no screwdrivers, really nothing that you need other than a little elbow grease to restring it with. So let's dive into this, and really I just got to unlock it like that, pop the core out, or the spindle, keep that thing in there, and you're going to take your cord. You can buy big spools yourself, or you can do pre-cuts. It's whichever's up to you. And I got a pre-cut one, and I'm just going to go ahead and feed. There's a little hole right there. It's right here that you just feed it through, and as you're feeding it through, just make sure it's even. I ended up just buying the pre-cut ones because, to be honest with you, it is what it is. I bought a bunch of pre-cut ones for like, I don't know, 15 bucks. All right, so now that I made sure that the ends are even to the best of my ability, you can snip off, if you're slightly inaccurate. And then from there, you just go ahead and you string these ends through the holes before you actually put the spindle in. So let's do that real quick. I think I got it right. No, I think I got it upside down. And then from there, if you got the same ryobi I have, you got to make sure these little gear things are facing upward when you drop it in. All right, so this apparently fits in a specific way, so put this cap on before you drop it in. Don't be like me and do super noob shit. All right. There we go. All right. So it took 7 days to do this. And I'm 42 years old now. All right, so now that this is in, we're gonna go ahead and just install this real quick. And there's a reason why I didn't wind it up right now. And then now what I do is I just put pressure, lock it in like so. Let me go ahead and get the little winding tool that it came with, and we'll figure that out. All right, should have been a little bit more prepared. Here's that little winding tool, and then from there I'm just gonna hold it, and then I'm just gonna spin it up like this. Now, one, you can clip these, or two, you can let this blade part right here hit it and cut it, but you know, you don't have to. There, this is totally fine. And now that we got this strung, I think it's strung, this is ready for another couple months of use. And since I have this attachment, which is the edger, this actually is going to save me a lot of string, because I lose most of my string edging, and I also don't know how to edge in a straight line. I had to buy this. It's a cheat, but it works really good, and the edges are pretty sharp with it. So this just attaches. This one was about 79 bucks, so this was about 80 bucks. Again, if you can't afford it, it's not necessary. It does make life a little bit easier, especially if your edges are overgrown. But other than that, it's unnecessary, but it's nice to have. So let's dive into the next one. And again, another obvious, but these three tools are the tools that I actually pull out every single time. So I think it's worth noting. So let's dive right into that one. All right, now here's another obvious one, but it is very important. It's to help clean around the perimeters, to help clean your sidewalks, also to pick up debris and just help clean things up. All right, and these are the three things that I pull out every single time. So I feel that at least give yourself some budget, or give yourself an opportunity to get a lawnmower, a weed eater, and a leaf blower, or some rakes, something like that. But these are the essential tools. And again, there's many ways you can get it. You can get these tools. It doesn't have to be brand new, and it doesn't have to be the latest and greatest. I mean, honestly, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, you can find a lot of used equipment. You can go, you know, electric powered with electric cords or extension cords. You can go gas powered. It really all depends on what you want and your budget. Now, as much as I keep saying budget, it's still worth money. So it's something that you might want to build up to. But those are the basic essentials. We now have the blades replaced. We have the weed eater restrung. And now we're going to actually talk about some of these extra items that is going to make your life a little bit easier as you get into overseeding or treating your grass, killing the weeds and stuff like that. So let's dive right into those. Now, you don't need these items all the time. It's one of the reasons why it's the last ones that I'm actually going to show, because you're not going to need them every single time you maintain your yard, every time you mow your lawn and stuff like that. So is it worth investing a bunch of money, or is there alternative methods you can use? Well, that's up to you, and it depends on what you want to do, and depends on how often you're going to use it or plan on using it. And, you know, it really is preference at that point. So let's dive right into a couple more things that I think is going to be extra after another piece of equipment I think is very important and something that shouldn't be overlooked. And that is a way to water your lawn, whether you're using a hose with a sprayer, and depending on the kind of hose that you want, you know, there's plenty of choices out there. But either just a way to water your lawn, whether that's a hose and sprayer, like I just said, or getting sprinklers. You know, sprinklers is a very useful tool, whether you have a water timer or whether you're turning it on manually. You know, sprinklers are pretty useful. It's a game changer for me, honestly. I'm on the go, and there's times where I'm sick, or there's times where I come home late, or I want to go hang out with friends, or I'm hanging out with the wife and all that stuff. And really, I want to be able to do those things without constantly having to look after my lawn when it comes to watering and the time, and just stay on track with that. So sprinklers with the water timer, I would have to say that's a go-to for me. But if it's not, and you don't have the budget for that, because these things can get pretty expensive, especially for a large yard. I only have roughly 3,000 square feet, but it's cut up into 4 pieces. So I have quite a bit of sprinklers because of that. So it can get pretty expensive. So if you are on a budget, a hose and a sprayer, you're good to go if you have the time. But it's going to take some time, especially if you're watering every day, or every other day, twice a day. It gets pretty overwhelming sometimes. But it's worth it to consider these. So, something to think about it. Now let's dive into the rest of those equipment that I was talking about for those other times you need it. All right, so when it comes to the beginning of the spring and the fall season, a lot of us like to overseed, and we do something called dethatching or verticutting. This right here is an electric dethatcher and verticutter. It's powered through extension cord, and it's a great tool to have. Is it worth buying one? Well, that really all depends on you. Some people dethatch and verticut often. Some people overseed twice in a season. And I believe in certain places you're paying $100 a day to rent one of these. So if you're only doing it twice a year, is it worth having? I'm not sure. I bought one because this one right here, it's a Wen dethatcher verticutter, and it was only 130 bucks. I'm saying only 130, but that's actually quite a bit of money if you're not using it a lot. It's quite a bit of money in general. But this one is a must-have if you're going to overseed, or if you're trying to pull out thatch to open up your soil. It's a very useful tool. You know, I really like the electric powered tools because it's not as bulky, and like my mower and like my weed eater and stuff, you can fold them away, you can detach them, and it actually saves a lot of space. So that's a big reason why I have electric, other than I don't want gas fumes inside my garage. So electric dethatcher. Now there's many different ones. You got many different brands you can use. You got Works, you have Sunjo, you have the Wen, you have a bunch of different things. But if you can't afford this, there is a tool you can use. It takes a lot of labor to do it. I did it last year, and I vowed to never do it again. But it is a useful tool to have when this machine cannot get to those hard to reach areas. And that is a manual dethatcher. This is fairly cheap. It's not expensive at all. It does the job. It does it well. But again, you're going to be putting in a lot of time and a lot of muscle on this one. So it's another tool you can use, especially if you're on even a tighter budget. But again, go to the marketplace, offer up, all those other places people sell them used, garage sales, all that stuff. You can find some stuff, but just another option just in case buying something that's $130 isn't in the budget for you. So let's dive into the next couple things. We're almost done, but these are some pretty important stuff that I'm excited to use myself. All right, so let's talk about sprayers. I got 2 sprayers on front of me right now. One is a 2-gallon handheld, and the other one's a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. These are both pump sprayers. There's electric sprayers that you can use, and there's all different types, but these are the pump ones. And I feel that this is very important when you're going to treat your lawn or trying to kill weeds and dropping liquid fertilizers and all that stuff. It is very important, but do you need it? Well, that's perspective. For these are for concentrates and for mixes. Like for example, I have a concentrate here for a weed and grass killer. So when I decide to kill weeds and grass at the same time, I use a concentrate, which means I'm going to have to use one of these sprayers. But if you can't afford these sprayers, this sprayer right here was about 40 bucks. This one was about 85. So for the pump sprayers, fairly affordable. in that sense if you're going to use it. Now there are different products that offer some nozzles. Right here, this one's a Weed for Lawns. This one has a built-in nozzle, and you can spray it around. My state, unfortunately, or I would say fortunately, unfortunately, it's a good and bad thing, that I can't buy selective herbicides concentrates like Tenacity, T-Zone, Speed Zone. Can't buy those here, which has me resort to these big box brands. And to be honest with you, you know, it is what it is, but do I feel sprayers are a necessity? It's one of the reasons why it's the last one. It's a yes and no, depending. I can kill the weeds and do all that stuff without an actual sprayer, without buying these things. So it's not essential, but it makes my life a lot more efficient when it comes to time. And also when it comes to liquid fertilizers, which is very fast acting, I now have the equipment to drop liquid fertilizers. And yes, there's a lot of brands that you can attach to a hose and spray it out, but from what I heard, it wastes a lot of product, and really that's not what I'm trying to do, is waste things. I waste enough in my life. I don't need to waste more. So that's that for this, and got another thing to talk about here. Now, past the last 60 days, I've done a lot of things I feel was right and a lot of things that I did wrong. And to be honest with you, some of the things that I did right could have even been better if I didn't do the things that I did wrong, right? That's normally how it works. But let's talk about those things I did and didn't do that really bit me in the ass, and hopefully all the new lawn care people out there can learn from that. So let's walk through those things. One is the lack of research. I was so quick to get out there and get to work. Also, I was in a time crunch. I did not time correctly, and I started everything in mid-spring. That was mid-May. Is it too late? The temperatures were pretty good, but honestly, if I started a little bit earlier, I probably would have had way more progress. So that's one thing that I did wrong, and it really impacted how much progress I have made. But I still made progress, and that's important. And when I overseeded, I didn't drop topsoil. So that didn't really help the seed to soil contact right there. I thought I had enough, but there's a lot of bare spots that I need to take care of. I didn't drop peat moss either at the very top, or I didn't drop something to cover the seed to prevent it from washing away or for birds to take it away. So there's definitely some learning lessons there. And also I know now not to drop weed and feed late spring if I want to overseed in early fall. So I kind of know those things now. So thank you guys so much for enduring this video. It is a rainy day, like I said. Doors are down, and it's going to be clear here on out, so I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. So if you do enjoy the content, please subscribe, turn on your notifications, like, drop a comment, do whatever you like, and I'll see you guys on the next one.